What's the greatest thing about American Psycho, Dr. Strangelove, Sunshine, Blade Runner, Moon, 2001, Logan's Run, Dawn of the Dead, The Right Stuff, Into the Wild, The Road, and even the real moon landing? Greatest thing about these films and events are that you will never see them produce something like this. Don't get me wrong, I'd love to take the controls of a game that would allow me to be Patrick Bateman as I prowl the streets with a chainsaw, executing yuppies, and forcing hookers to eat one another's assholes. Grand Theft Auto wouldn't have shit on that. Anyway, the days of new kick-ass Star Wars games seem to be dead and gone, and there's a fucking bird stuck in my screen porch. While we're on the topic of new Star Wars games, there's a little something I have to take care of. My top 5 Star Wars games of all time. This is a list full of nostalgia, full of personal preference. I know most of you will disagree with my choices, so what I want you to do is type your own top 5 lists in the comment section below. Maybe you'll even introduce me to a game I've never even heard of. In 1994, a sequel to X-Wing was released called TIE Fighter. It was a groundbreaking flight simulator for its time and arguably still the best Star Wars space sim on the market. You assume the role of a rookie TIE Fighter pilot and carry out the dirty deeds of the Empire. If you haven't played TIE Fighter or are too young to remember it, I would highly recommend downloading it and giving it a shot. But be careful, you'll need 8 megabytes of RAM and 1 megabyte of hard drive space. In 1995, LucasArts released a first-person shooter that, well, to be honest, it wasn't anything special. It was basically a Doom clone with a Star Wars theme. But that Star Wars theme was all it took to be propelled to one of the highest-selling games of the decade. There was no multiplayer, which was a bummer. I used to land Doom, Diablo, and Duke Nukem with my childhood friends, and I would have loved to take on the role of a stormtrooper and blast my buddies away. If you ever feel like playing a classic FPS, check out Dark Forces. Sega and LucasArts brought us the Star Wars Trilogy arcade game in 1998. It was a completely linear gaming experience, a rail shooter. You gripped the E. coli, snot-dripping, germ-infested Rumble Pack joystick with your clenched fist, and like Dak, you were ready to take on the whole Empire by yourself. I haven't seen one of these units in years, but I have fond memories of playing through each film and eventually having a lightsaber duel with Darth Vader. I know for a fact that you can download an emulator of this game, so if you want to experience it in the comfort of your own home, without screaming children, ticket machines, and the stench of expired arcade hot dogs, check out the Star Wars Trilogy Arcade. 1992 was an awesome year for Star Wars fans and gamers alike, because Super Star Wars for the Super Nintendo was released. It chronicled the adventures of A New Hope in an action-packed side-scrolling game that generally stayed true to the tempo and the settings of the film. The latest increase of indie side-scrolling games can be evidence that side-scrollers are timeless. People will always love and play them. Find a way to get your hands on this game and play it. You won't be disappointed. June 26, 2003. The midnight release party for Star Wars Galaxies. I was there standing in line with my buddies to purchase what would become one of my favorite games of all time, pre-combat upgrade of course. Galaxies was everything a Star Wars MMO should be. It was everything an original trilogy lover would want in a Star Wars MMO. The amount of personal freedom that you were given to customize every aspect of your character was uncanny. Players could erect their own homes, and guilds could build guild cities where members would live, open up vendor shops, and have NPC guards patrolling the premises. It saddens me that MMOs like World of Warcraft are popular. So linear, so straight-laced, and made for continuous duplication of the same general character build over and over again. Games where everyone strives to get the same cloned loot. Everything and everyone emulates a seemingly lazy idea of what an MMO creativity should be. Galaxies was the complete opposite. It was completely player-controlled. One server could have something selling for half the price of another server. The economy was controlled and created by that server's community. When the combat upgrade was released, it was the death of Galaxies. The developer shifted Galaxies away from a unique bastion of personal gaming freedom and moved it to an attempted clone of World of Warcraft. Before the combat upgrade was released, it could have potentially taken a player a year to become a Jedi. After the combat upgrade, with one click of a button, you could become a Jedi. People considered that a spit in the community's eye, and it began the death of Star Wars Galaxies. Like Ultima Online with Trammell, Star Wars Galaxies can be attributed to the combat upgrade. Head on over to FloridaGeekScene.com and be sure to like their Facebook page. My buddy Scott and his numerous contributors run a great and informative website for games, movies, industry interviews, you name it, they'll talk about it. You no longer have to look for geek news. Geek news comes to you with Florida Geek Scene. Also, while you're on the prowl for new things, check out my buddy James's blog and YouTube channel at jamesandhisgames.com. He's just kicking off his YouTube channel and it's looking very promising. I've known James for over 10 years now, and if there's one man on the planet you can trust to get your video game news and knowledge from, it's James. I'd also like to give a giant thank you to YouTube user Argasta. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. He's been extremely generous in helping me with my upcoming purchase that I'll showcase on here when I receive it. Thanks a lot, man. You've been a huge help.